Hello everyone, welcome to the video. I don't know what I was saying today. I wanted to make a video about staff housing because I feel like I talk about it all the time, and I have shared a little about the concept of staff housing, but I don't think I've shared exactly what is good about it and what kind of sucks about it. So if you're planning on coming to Canada for a working holiday, if you're planning to come to a ski town, do a ski season here, you probably want to know a little bit about staff housing because staff housing is very affordable. It is definitely the best option when you're moving here to get your foot in a door. Getting private housing in a ski town is very, very expensive. It's very hard to come by. There's a lot of people that come here without a house, and it's just a really kind of stressful, scary time. Yes, staff housing is definitely the way to go. That's definitely what you're after if you're coming to a ski town for a winter season, especially the upcoming winter season. I have done some tours of staff housing. I have done Westside and Brio now. I have never lived in Glacier staff housing, so I can't give too much footage on that, but I definitely can tell you all about it because I go there quite a lot. If you don't know, I live in Whistler. I've been here for almost 2 years now. I post a lot of content on Whistler, moving here, working holidays, working for a mountain, all that kind of fun stuff. So if that's what you're into and that's what you're thinking about doing, definitely keep watching my videos. I don't know, I need to get comfy. I'll probably end up being very specific about the Whistler staff housing here, but I think you can generalize a lot of it to most staff housings in ski towns. I would assume it's a very similar kind of style anywhere that you go, I would say, but obviously some of the specifics might be a little different, so that's just like a little warning a warning to you guys. Let's get into it. Oh my god, maybe I'll tell you about my experience first if you guys want to listen to that. When I got my job in Whistler, I was told that I was approved for staff housing too, which was really awesome. So I got my job first and then I had to apply for the housing in a separate portal. The housing is usually always separate. It's by the same company, but it's like a completely separate portal. I don't know why, it just is. So when you apply on that portal, there's a bunch of questions about your kind of lifestyle, I believe. Kind of when you go to bed, when you wake up, what you like to do in your spare time. And I'm guessing age factors into it as well. And obviously your gender, and then if you're a couple or not, that definitely all factors into the unit that you get, the location, and also your roommates, which I'll talk about shortly. But basically when we came to Whistler, we were put in Westside, which is a smaller staff housing further out of town, which actually was really great for us because it's a lot more quiet. It's a lot more mature people living in Westside. It is further, so we had to catch the bus, but that was not that bad. In winter it's a little bit shitty sometimes, but honestly not the end of the world. Whereas Glacier staff housing is where usually everyone goes. There's 1,000 people live there, something along those lines. There's 7 buildings, they're very big, lots of people live there. There's a lot going on there. But I was put at Westside, which was really awesome. I moved in with 2 other people, another couple. So usually I would say couples usually get paired with other couples because it's a mixed gender unit, but I don't know exact details on that. But yeah, we were paired with another couple. It was really awesome. I loved Westside. It was very beautiful. But then we really wanted to be closer to town, and there is another staff housing called Brio, which was perfect for us because it's basically the same as Westside, but just way closer to town, and I can just walk there. So we got Brio because there's a wait list for Brio because it's just so amazing. But we were put on the wait list maybe in spring after our first winter, and then we got approved in summer and we moved in, and then we just spent our last winter here in Brio, and it's been literally amazing. I love it so much. Oh, and another thing I'm gonna brag about, sorry, there are a few couples rooms in staff housing, I think only Westside and Brio, which means only 2 people live there, no roommates, and I am lucky enough to have one of those, and it's honestly the best. But I'm also going to tell you why it's okay to have roommates, so don't stress at all about that. Let's go into that now, actually, because I know, like, even coming here, I was like, ew, roommates. I actually didn't even think I was going to have roommates, because I looked on, like, photos of the apartment. I was like, oh yeah, it's just us. Like, I couldn't, not that there were many photos, there was like one photo, and I hadn't thought about roommates at all, to be honest. And then when we moved, like, when we went to go get our keys, the housing office were like, oh yeah, your roommates will have the mailbox key. And I'm like, roommates? And it was honestly like, the thought of having roommates was so off-putting, and that is something that I hear a lot people asking about, having roommates. To be honest, if you're in staff housing, like, just assume that you're going to have roommates. Staff housing is extremely cheap compared to the rest of the town. That would go for any ski resort. Staff housing is so freaking cheap, and we are so lucky to have it. But yes, you will have roommates. Just, like, come to terms with that now. You will 100% have some roommates. But that is not, like, that is 100% not a bad thing at all, because your roommates will probably end up being, like, part of your family, because obviously you don't have any family there. You won't have any friends when you first get there either. So, wow, guys, that was actually so mean of me, just saying that you have no friends. I'm sorry. But, like, your roommates will definitely become, like, a really solid support network for you straight away. And I'm going to be honest, the majority of the people that come here are really great people, because anyone that's come here has put in a lot of money, a lot of effort, a lot of time, and a lot of bravery to move across the world to come do this. So generally everyone that you meet here, other than, like, maybe a few, you know, everyone is very lovely, very smart, very great, are just, like, really good people. So never fear about that. Let's go back. There's a building, right? Westside and Brio is, like, one building. Glacier, there's 7 buildings. Each building has, like, a certain amount of units, and then you will live in one unit. And then in each unit will be 2 bedrooms with 2 beds each, usually bunk beds. In one building there is 6-person rooms, so there's 3 rooms, 2 bedrooms each, which sounds pretty hectic, but it's honestly, like, it's not that bad. So yeah, say you're a single person coming here, you will get put into, like, a unit of, say, 4. So you'll have 3 roommates, and hopefully, if housing have done a good job, you'll be paired with people that are, like, very similar to you, like, similar lifestyle, age, that kind of thing, and they do a very good job of pairing people up. But if you are staying, or you're coming with people that you know, you can apply to select your own roommate. So you, like, when you're applying for housing, you just somehow make, like, a roommate group, and you choose that person. So for instance, with me and Stefan, like, I always click Stefan as my roommate, obviously. Oh my god, I'm losing my voice, this is not good. There are other staff housings available. So, like, the hotels have staff housing, a lot of the restaurants have, like, more, like, private staff housing. So there are other staff housing, I've said that many times, out there. I don't know too much about them. What I do know is that I feel like the staff housing for the mountain, so Vale Resorts, Whistler Blackcomb, is very big, it's very organized, it has a lot of support options. We have a whole housing department of people that will help you with whatever you need. If you're having issues with your roommates, if you're having issues with your unit, like, there's maintenance. If you're struggling with rent, you have options. There's, like, so much support with housing, whereas I don't know if that's the same for smaller businesses. I don't know if their housing is as organized in that sense. So that is something to keep in mind. I don't have any experience with the other staff housing, so I can't say too much about that, but I can say that I think ours is really organized and really safe, I would say. And I have mentioned this before, like, if you're interested in getting private housing, that's definitely, that's great for you. If you can find private housing, that's what you want to do, that's awesome. Again, you're gonna have roommates in private housing, unless if you want to pay, like, $10,000 a month, then you might not. But if you don't want to pay that much money, you will most likely have roommates in shared housing as well, like private housing. But private housing, obviously you're dealing with like a landlord, you're dealing with an owner, and it can be a little bit sticky here in Whistler. People like, charging a lot, not doing the right thing as landlords. There are a lot of like, not horror stories, but like definitely not great experiences that people have had that I've heard about. So that is definitely like a risk with private housing. Like, it's highly sought after in winter to have housing, so people like landlords and owners can basically do whatever they want, charge whatever they want, and you don't have a lot of support in that sense. A lot of people like losing their damage deposit and things like that. So that is something to look out for if you're going for private housing. Another thing I wanted to touch on is that obviously if you're in staff housing, your housing and your job are tied together basically. So I have seen people that have been in staff housing with a different job, like not with the mountain, and it can be a really sticky situation. I've said sticky so many times, I like never say sticky. It can be a bit of a sticky situation when you're trying to get out of that staff housing or get a new job, because like your job and your house is tied together. So it's like trying to change your whole life at once. So it can be a bit scary. And then obviously in terms of like, if you are in staff housing for the mountain, if you say get fired from your job, then you're going to lose your house as well. Just keep in mind that it's tied together. You need to work full-time hours if you're living in staff housing. That's just a condition of it, which makes sense because staff housing is highly sought after in the winter. There is definitely not enough beds for the amount of staff that's hired. So some people will not get staff housing, 100%. And there are some roles that like don't get staff housing because of how much you get paid, like bartenders and that kind of thing. It can be hard if you're trying to change jobs. Yeah, it is an interesting concept that your house and your job are together. It's very like, it feels very like hard to be flexible, if that makes sense. But if you're committed to working for the mountain and committed to like staying and whatever, then like it's honestly, I don't even like, it's not something that I think about often, but it is something that other people do think about. And especially people that don't work for the mountain or they have private housing, they think it's wild to them that like it's tied together, because you can feel very like confined, if that makes sense. In terms of the actual units themselves, I think they're really nice. Obviously they are a little small sometimes, especially if you have like a lot of roommates. You have to obviously share your room with another person, so sharing like cupboard space can be like a little bit tricky, but if you have a nice roommate, like it'll be fine. But that is something to consider, that you will have like limited space, so don't buy too much shit basically. In terms of like the actual house itself, they're all really great. They all come with fully furnished, so you have a bed, you have bedding, you have cupboards, you have fridge. I think most have, some don't have ovens in Glacier, but all have stovetops, microwave, everything is already provided. And then all your kitchenware is already in there from like previous tenants. So there's like saucepans and cutlery and everything that you could need for furnishing a house is already in there. You just have to obviously bring in your own stuff like cleaning supplies and whatnot. That's really, really good. The buildings themselves usually have common rooms, so if your room is too small and you want to like have people over, there are common areas that you can hang out in, which is really good. And then in terms of washing, each building has like a laundry room, so you have a washer and dryer, and they cost like $2. So not too bad unless you do like a lot of washing. It like feels like it adds up really fast, but that's really handy to have. I feel like we have everything you need. In terms of parking, there are parking spots at all the staff housings, but you do have to apply for the car parks because obviously, again, they fill up really fast. We have had a parking spot since we got a car. It was fine. I think we pay $30 a month, something like that. It's nothing that we even really think about. So that's good. What else do you need to know? It's like most of the actual factual information about staff housing, I feel like. I've already said the pros and cons. Have I? I think I have, but this has been really fast. Just to reiterate about staff housing. Pros. cheap as hell. Very, very cheap. The house is furnished, the houses are nice, there's plenty of support. The cons of Glacier is it is very noisy. It is party central, very loud, lots of people doing things all the time. What's the other cons? I feel like I'm just so used to living in staff housing, I don't like think about what I don't like. What don't I like? Honestly, I'm kind of just so used to it now. We do have house inspections, which is kind of good because it makes you clean. But that's like anywhere that you would rent, so that's not really that crazy. Yeah, I honestly thought I would have more cons. I wanted this to be more of like telling you the truth about staff housing, but it's honestly not that bad. And yeah, I guess I feel like coming over here, you kind of are like, well, like what's gonna happen? Is it gonna be like disgusting? And am I gonna have gross roommates? Honestly, it's not gonna be that bad, and it's actually gonna be really good. And I do know the roommate thing is a bit of a scary thing for people, but trust me, it's going to be totally fine, and those people are going to end up being like your best friends, hopefully. I would say, like, from all the people that I've known here that have been in staff housing, like 98% of them have liked their roommates, and it's been totally fine. So do not fear at all about that. If you have any more questions about staff housing, let me know, but I think that covers the most of it for anyone that's really curious about what it's like living here. It's not as terrible as you may think. Please make sure you subscribe, because yeah, then you can see all my videos and you will see my face again. And if you're planning on coming for the winter 24-25 season, let me know and get excited, because it's very, very soon, and yeah, it's just going to be the best freaking time. So yeah, thank you for watching. I appreciate y'all, and I'll see you in the next one.